All right, welcome to episode number 9 of the Sundowners Golf Club podcast. I'm Giovanni. I'm sitting here with Mr. Matt Caldwell. I'm excited to recap the 125th U.S. Open at Oakmont, but I'm more excited to have our first ever guest on the Sundowners Golf Club podcast. We've got the original Matt Hansen tuning in from Switzerland. Matt, how are you doing today, and how do you feel about the U.S. Open?
Doing great, boys. I mean, I'm awake. It's 2 p.m. my time. I think it's 5:07 your time. So I'll try to bring the energy, but we'll see. I got coffee as well. But yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. I didn't get to watch as much as I wanted to because the stupid rain delay really killed me on Sunday.
yeah.
I think
That was
the
tough.
delay kicked in at like 11 p.m. my time.
Ooh, that's brutal.
And so yeah, I'm like, we finally got word that it was like going to be 45 minutes. So I think it was 11:45 where they resumed play, and Sunday evening. It wasn't the Masters, so I decided to go to bed.
Yeah, it's I think weather delays in general kind of suck.
Yeah,
just for any viewer and player, but especially for an international listener.
Yeah, it was tough. And I was watching the Sky stream too, so they were courteous to the UK watchers. Like,
Sure,
it's gonna be a late night back home, but
yeah,
okay, I'm going to bed.
So for a little background, Matt is a. Oh, sorry, we're talking over each other. First time with a guest, but just for some context, Matt and I have been friends for a long, long time. Grew up playing hockey together. He's one of the original Sundowners, so one of the original 8. So he was a Sundowner until he moved to Switzerland, where he lives now. So anyway, happy to have him. Matt, what are your Matt Caldwell? What are your initial thoughts from U.S. Open? What's maybe one of your more memorable things from this tournament?
For me, man, that was a lot more brutal than many of the U.S. Opens we've watched. It felt like U.S. Open's always tough, but I think this one was just especially brutal for some reason. Maybe I'm convincing myself of that, but I enjoyed it. I got exactly what I wanted out of it, which was just mayhem and watching guys have success and make big birdies, huge eagles. And then on the following tee box, spray one into the rough 2 feet and battle for par. I mean, it's what you want out of this tournament. I enjoyed the heck out of this tournament.
Sure. I've got a lot of thoughts on it. I also agree, good tournament. It was really exciting from start to finish. Just a really quick run down the leaderboard. We haven't really mentioned it quite yet, but JJ Spaun was our U.S. Open winner. He made a massive putt on the last hole to have a walk-off birdie. Ended up winning by 2 strokes. He was the only player to finish under par for this tournament, which is something that I think gets talked about a lot with U.S. Opens. I think it's something that I usually want, but now that I got it, I don't know how I feel about it, and we'll talk about it. But further down the leaderboard, Robert McIntyre, little surprised that he was even playing the tournament, considering I saw like 3 of his golf shots the entire weekend. Victor Hovland coming in at 3rd, Tyrrell Hatton, Cameron Young, Carlos Ortiz all at T4, John Rahm, Sam Burns, Scotty Scheffler at T7, and then rounding off the top 10, we had Ben Griffin and Russell Henley. I think we'll dive into it a little bit, but what is like the one thing, for a lot of these major tournaments, I have that one memory that it just makes me think of that tournament. Like Chambers Bay was, the year that Jordan Spieth won and the year that the greens were just absolutely insane, and the pros were complaining about it. What do you think your one memory of this tournament is going to be, 10 years down the road on this tournament? Matt, we'll go with you, Matt Hansen.
I think what's going to stick out to me most is JJ Spaun, for sure. I mean, the way he just got absolutely slapped. Like his first 5 holes, I think he had 5 bogeys and 9 holes on the front. Mm-hmm. Also, shout out to my boy, I'm rocking the backwards sunglasses, just like JJ.
But never wear them on your face, just like JJ.
No, exactly. But I mean,
can you heel flip like JJ though? Can you heel flip?
No, that was impressive too. The guy can skate too. Do it all. I didn't know he's a skater, but I guess he's from California, skater boy. So
Yeah, Los Angeles guy.
rocking some Vans golf shoes. But no, I mean, just the way he came out, and I was like, oh boy, this is, he's gonna implode. Like, he doesn't have the juice. But sure enough, he just kept battling back. And I actually had my Australian friend ask me when the rain delay happened. He's like, who do you think this is gonna affect the most? And I was like, I have no idea, to be honest. And then it turns out it looks like it was Adam Scott who was affected the most. I mean,
Oh yeah,
he was putting
Honestly,
together a
him
good round, making a run, and then it just got off the rails. But then JJ Spaun goes into the clubhouse, kind of resets and regroups. And I think that was the best thing that could have happened to him, because he comes back out and just starts firing. So, yeah, I mean, that's going to be the thing that sticks out to me most, I think, is just his resilience the whole weekend, especially on Sunday.
I mean, his hole 2. I mean, I don't know what I would do, and even just
hole 3, Matt would have been like, that counts. That should count.
Yeah, that
The flag
Matt
stick.
Hansen has done that before. Literally, he fired one off the flag at a par 3 course. Picked up the ball, said it counts. Oh man, JJ.
Then that thing rolls back like 50 yards. You just got to be thinking, I mean, it's over. And I don't know if you guys heard, but he was staying up till 3 a.m. helping out his daughter, who was throwing up all night. I'm sure you guys heard that. But
I did read about that.
What a tough start. I'd be the most nervous I'd ever
be. Matt Colwell, what would you do on the second hole of a tournament? A tournament that is going to be tough, gritty golf, and you flag it and it rolls 50 yards off the front of the green. Like, how do you come back from that?
I mean, it's what JJ did, right? Is you just keep going. He talked about the rain delay in an interview afterwards, and he said that it kind of helped him, right? There's a previous tournament where there's rain delay and he didn't come out of it very well, but he used this rain delay to his advantage to just kind of get his mind right, and just get back to what he had been doing the previous 3 days. How I would handle it, I mean, I would probably start firing off 10s and 11s.
Right.
I mean, I don't know how you come back from that. And it's a good thing he didn't get to watch the TV edit of him hitting the flag, because the camera operator was like, to the ball, to JJ, to the ball, to JJ. And they cut back and forth like 7 or 8 times. It felt like the ball rolled back to the tee box. How often it went back and forth.
And it took like 30 seconds.
It was just agonizing.
I literally started laughing. Like, what is this? This is a sick joke. This is disgusting behavior from the camera guys.
It's just crazy. I feel like in golf we have this sometimes this entitlement, when we hit what we think is a good enough golf shot, and if it doesn't pan out the way we want it to, it's like, it's the end of the world, right? Yeah, right. It counts. It just seems like that'd be so stinking hard, especially for a guy. Let's face it, JJ Spaun, he's not really, one of the guys at the front of all of our minds when we think of, US Open winners. So, a guy that really kind of has an underdog mentality going into this definitely wasn't the favorite. For that to happen on hole 2 of the last day of the tournament would just be gut wrenching. So I know I was texting with Matt Hansen about it throughout the week, because I guess just on Sunday, saying I think we're coming around on JJ Spaun, because when he was in the mix at the Players going into the playoff with Rory, it kind of felt like, at least for me, it felt like this is the big boy pond. Like, you need to go back to little leagues, because
I was pulling for him though. I don't like Rory. I was hoping he was going to beat him.
Yeah,
wheels off of him, but yeah, it was heartbreaking. That's why I was rooting for him when it came down to Sunday for sure.
And I think maybe what I'm saying is I came around on him on Sunday, because I'm like, you know what? Yeah, you're right. He's been kind of hanging around. He's been winning some tournaments. He's been squeaking into playoffs. He's been proving himself. And then here he is getting punched in the mouth all day on the front 9, and he's just battling back. So I'm happy for him. I think it's pretty cool that he ended up winning this one, especially in the fashion that he did. Now, Matt Colwell, how do you feel about Oakmont? How do you think Oakmont performed? We can talk about the course. We can talk about setup. We can talk about whatever you want, but how are you going to grade Oakmont for this U.S. Open?
A plus. A plus. We talked about it a couple weeks ago. The U.S. Open is supposed to be brutal. That's its defining character. Oakmont has hosted more U.S. Opens than any other course for a reason. They go there for this, and so to pretend that it's supposed to be something else is, in my opinion, I don't know, silly. If that's not what you want, if that's not what you're looking for, maybe the U.S. Open isn't the tournament. Just check out the Valero Texas Open or some other tournaments. Man, PGA Championship maybe is your thing.
You're so pretentious.
This is it. This is.
I
what,
agree. I agree.
This is the exact thing that I tuned in to watch. Prioritizing fairways and getting on the green. Period. If you can do that, you're going to be in contention. I mean, Adam Scott was in contention for what was it? First 2 days or 3 days he was bogey free. 2 days. I mean, that's the reason he was on top of the leaderboard, right?
Yep.
Victor Hovland was 3-putting everything, but he was staying out of the rough and was able to score. So stay out of the rough at the U.S. Open, stay out of the rough at Oakmont, and you're going to have success. So I enjoyed the heck out of this tournament. I really, 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 truly did. We talked about it leading in that I was a little bummed that the weather delay happened, but it's going to be one of the things that we talk about for years and years and years. Well, I'm sure we'll talk about Sam Burns and his fairway water ball, but that's a little bit of a bummer. I don't like the character of a tournament to have something that just didn't need to necessarily happen be there, but ultimately I got what I wanted.
Okay.
I love it.
OG Matt, how do you feel about Oakmont?
I would completely agree. I don't know if it's an A+ for me, maybe an A-, B+. But it was exactly what you want to see out of a U.S. Open. I mean, Matt was exactly right. You want to see these guys just getting the guts kicked out of them. It's fun to watch that as an average golfer. You want to see the pros struggle and kind of go through what we go through every weekend with the toughest conditions. I actually thought the putting greens were relatively fair. I didn't think shouldn't be too many complaints about that. But yeah, the rough just looked diabolical.
Yeah.
But I thought the course presented itself very well. I mean, it's a beautiful course. There's a shot yesterday on Sunday looking back from behind the tee on hole 3, and I'm just like, gosh, that course looks incredible. But yeah, I love Oakmont. I would love to play there. It looked awesome. I love when the U.S. Opens come through town there.
Yeah. Guys, I'm going to push back a little bit. And it's not necessarily an Oakmont problem. I promise you. Okay. So I can't even really grade Oakmont in this way because I'm torn between two thoughts. We had the really hard U.S. Open. They're grinding it out. They got the thick rough, the fast greens, the score close to par. But then I'm like looking back and trying to think of how I would grade Oakmont. And I'm like, I don't even really I'm not familiar with any of the holes at Oakmont after this week because the main show was just the thick rough. And I'm like, well, I thought Oakmont was a really nice course, a really, highly regarded design of a golf course. But the only thing that was talked about, and really the only thing that came into play, was how thick the rough was. And part of me is
the long par 3, 8.
And the long par 3, yeah. And so I'm like, I thought Oakmont was better than this, or maybe Oakmont deserves better than this, than to be remembered for how long the grass was on the part that is not where the golfers are supposed to hit it. You know what I mean? I'm like,
but isn't that kind of the point?
Yeah, it is. But I
feel like Oakmont does have an identity, and I feel like there's some very recognizable holes. I mean,
well, obviously, you got the church pews,
blah blah blah. The large green on 9. I mean, it's iconic. So I mean, I kind of disagree with your disagreement.
Well, I think what happened, in my opinion, what's happening to you is you're just kind of letting the talking heads tell you what the course is, right? I mean, we talked about it leading in, we're sick and tired of watching people drop balls into rough when it comes to U.S. Open time, because they do it no matter what course they're playing at. They're going to drop the ball into the rough or roll a ball at the cup, in the exact place you shouldn't be on a green or ever going to be on a green, and the ball rolls 20 feet past. Like, I think you just kind of have to be responsible for yourself to look at the course and enjoy it. But
sure.
I think the average golfer, though, there's a good chance are going to have your opinion. They're just going to go, "Oh man, Oakmont's that place with crazy rough."
Yeah, that's a really long rough. Okay, so then let me. I'm going to round out my thought here. You guys can tell me how you feel about this, and tell me if I'm totally wrong or if you disagree with my disagreement. But I think this was an extremely entertaining tournament. I was glued to the TV. I never thought I'd be hooping and hollering when JJ Spaun wins a major championship, which I was doing. But I just don't know if the way the course was set up was like the best test or the way to set up to identify like the best golfer that week. I think it identified, maybe the most resilient, maybe the most, whatever you want to name it, right? But I just don't think it was set up to reward, how maybe a normal major championship is going to be set up in a way to identify truly the best golfer that week.
So are you bummed that Scotty Scheffler didn't do well?
No, I'm not bummed that Scotty Scheffler didn't do well.
He's top 10 though, Matt. Let's be clear. He was top 10.
Which is insane.
True.
Which is insane.
I know we're talking about not doing well, but still making top 10. And you see, he looks like he's in shambles, like on the range.
He looked awful.
I mean, going into it, we all thought he was going to win. To be honest, I did. At least.
I mean, it was like him against the field. It really felt. I don't know. Like, here's how my brain is working on this. Like, you hit it in the rough. It really, watching it, it looked like it was a 50-50 chance on whether it was going to be, a ball that they can barely advance, a ball that was going to go 50 yards at most, or a ball that they can just hit clean onto the green. And then
I think you're just a PGA Championship guy. Then, I mean, that's U.S. Open.
Guys, I'm not a PGA Championship guy. I'm not.
Sounds like it.
I'm not.
It is. Yeah.
I prefer this over LA Country Club. I mean, Pinehurst #2 is iconic, but I think this is the truest test of a U.S. Open. I mean, it's like got the teeth like Shinnecock. It's got everything. So I don't know what you're talking about. I think it's a little too early in the morning for you. And process.
Now, can we meet in the middle here? Because I think Oakmont, something about Oakmont, for as long as I've been a golfer, that's just been the course, right? That's like the U.S. Open course, and so I've been excited for this. I think one thing I like to see at a U.S. Open is like shave down the grass around the greens. So if you do miss a green on these extremely fast greens that we all know Oakmont for, then we get to see those like highly skilled, nippy chips that are, shots that you and I can't pull off, but the pros can pull it off. I think that's the one thing I was missing this week was if you missed the green, it was just anybody's guess on what the lie was going to be. And I admittedly was getting a little bit kind of, I don't want to say bored because I wasn't bored at any point throughout the tournament, but like all the pros were hitting the exact same shot out of the green side rough. Like there was no variance. There was no opportunity to see some bump and runs or some, I don't know, anything other than a large swing and kind of hope that you get a good enough lie to keep
That's
on the
fair.
green.
That's fair.
And that's the only critique I have of it is, then there's really not a lot of separation between what we see out of Scotty week to week or something that Victor Hovland's been known for struggling with over the years is his short game. It kind of just blurs those lines between somebody who's a highly skilled short game player and then guys who have been struggling with it because it's all the same shot. I promise you this doesn't take in my mind, doesn't take anything away from JJ Spaun and the other guys on the leaderboard because I think it asked a certain question of those guys, and those are the guys that stepped up and were ready to grind. And I think that's that's what we really identified was who's kind of the scrappiest, who's the most mentally tough, who can keep their composure for add the golf course and the rough and the fast greens, sprinkle in a ton of rain and an hour and a half long rain delay. I mean, it really showed the grittiest golfer this week. So let's go down a little bit. We talked a lot about JJ Spaun. Do you guys have anything on Robert McIntyre. Was anybody else surprised to see? Did you go grab a snack, come back, and realize, holy smokes, Robert McIntyre is tied for the lead right now?
Yeah, when I woke up the next morning, I was like, where the heck did he come from? But I mean, it was out of nowhere.
Yeah.
But I'll let Matt speak to it more because he watched the full thing.
Well, you kind of had the perfect reaction, and I think that this is just an ongoing complaint for how they broadcast these golf tournaments. They need to get some golf guys in there to tell us who should be on TV. Because you have a guy like Robert doing what he needs to do to get on top of the leaderboard and potentially have a chance to be in a playoff or win this tournament. And we didn't see him until he was on, I think the 17th green is when they showed him. Like, oh, there he is. I saw him on the leaderboard. He didn't show me any golf shots though.
Yeah.
So it's a bummer. I think this is a critique of the TV, but I'm going to take away from Robert, by the way, is his sitting in the clubhouse. Here's my daughter. I knew she was going to make an appearance.
When he was showing clapping after he saw
JJ. Yeah,
I
mean
that was really cool. That gave me goosebumps when I first saw that.
Real excitement, and you could tell he's, I don't know, when I see stuff like that, that's a golf guy doing golf guy stuff, and it's something that I'm going to teach my kids is you don't root against your opponent. You try to do your best. I'm going to try to take care of this kiddo real quick, and I'll be right back.
Yeah.
I'm muting him. I think I saw that there were 20 shots shown by Robert McIntyre on Sunday, which was probably just, my guess is like the last stretch of holes where he was, becoming relevant. I don't even know how to critique, the broadcast for something like that, because they're really just doing all that they can do with the information they have, right? So they're probably going to prioritize the final groups.
Yeah,
and then try to sprinkle in anybody making a run.
You would almost need something like an NFL red zone that has like cameras following every player to get every shot. I mean, just pack it all in, So that one's tough. But
heck, at some point there was like 6 people tied for the lead, and there was like 7 to 10 people within a stroke. So like, imagine being the TV producers and trying to figure out where the heck to go from there would be so hard.
But yeah, maybe like Matt was saying, a golfer in their ears being like, "Hey, maybe you guys should check this guy out. He's heating up, or he could have a chance." I don't know what it would take. It's a tough one to answer.
And it's not like anybody on the leaderboard, like nobody in the top 6 were anybody that is like the clear favorite, right? I mean, so at the time, I don't know if these were tied for the lead, but these guys were all in the mix. Was Spaun, McIntyre, Hovland, Tyrrell Hatton, Cameron Young, Carlos Ortiz, Adam Scott, Sam Burns. So those were all the guys that were tied for the lead at some point. None of those people are like jumping off the page to me being like, we got to follow him because he's clearly the favorite. There really was just a bunch of guys still trying to kind of, earn their keep on the tour, or kind of, I shouldn't say earn their keep on the tour, but, just to kind of break through the barrier of being a major champion.
Yeah, exactly. All
right. So I do want to talk about Sam Burns. I'd like to talk about the ruling, but just for his like performance overall, if we were to go back to the start of Sunday, I know me and Matt Caldwell were texting quite a bit, and I was kind of being an anti-Sam Burns guy just because I've convinced in my mind that he just doesn't have the juice to compete in these kinds of things. And I guess I'll just stand behind that. But how do we feel about his performance? Do we think, does this change anything moving forward? Considering a Ryder Cup year, if he's in another contention on Sunday at a major, like, does this change who you think Sam Burns is? We'll go Matt Hansen first.
It changed what I thought about him. I'm surprised you didn't change your mind about him after seeing this. I think he does have the juice. I mean, it was an incredible performance by him the whole weekend. And I mean, he, towards the end there on Sunday, it was kind of like fizzled out. But I don't know. I think he's got what it takes.
Would it change your mind if I said he lost by 5 strokes?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so.
I think the how many strokes you lost by at this tournament in particular is different than another tournament.
Bingo. Yep.
I think, a PGA championship, you lose by 5 strokes. You're like, okay, not really in it. But I mean, there was a point where when JJ was sitting at one, maybe it wasn't JJ, somebody was sitting at 1 under, and Jared texted me. He says, I think the winner's at 1 under. It's like, dude, we still have holes left. I think 1 over is the mark. And for a little bit, I was right. And so in the span of 3-4 holes, the swing is so big. So, I mean, Scotty Scheffler at T7, I mean, like we said earlier, he was in shambles, but he was almost kind of in the tournament. I mean, he just was there. So I think Sam Burns, that if you're that many strokes off at this tournament in particular, you were in the fight, man. You were in the fight.
Especially if you're hitting out of puddles. I mean,
let's talk about the Sam Burns situation. So I think it was on hole 15. At this point, he's coming off of, let's see, I think he doubled 11.
That is a book. Good job.
Coming off bogey, I believe, at 14. And then he finds himself. So this is the hole where he went less than driver, and it's on a severely sloped fairway, and it rolls back and off to the right of the fairway. And then he finds himself in a situation where his ball is, it's in the fairway, and he goes to address his ball, and he thinks it's in standing water. And because you can see the water when he's standing where he's standing. He calls in a rules official. Rules official disagrees and does not think he should get standing water relief. So Sam Burns gets a second opinion. They come in and say the same thing. So 2 rules officials come in and say, no, that's not standing water. Of course, I'm sure we've all seen Kyle Porter's video where he says this is exactly where Sam Burns hit his shot from, and he shows us how much water is coming up. And then, of course, Sam Burns proceeds to go to hit a ball. He pulls it. He's clearly affected by, the situation, the water on the ball. He's kind of looking around like it's a mud ball almost, and then he goes on to bogey the hole. And it kind of seemed like that kind of stuck with him for the rest of the round. Let's see, Matt Colwell, how do you feel about that situation? Do you think he was entitled to relief? Do you care? Do you think this is a story? Do you think it's not a story? What do you think?
You're still there?
Yep, we got you. Oh boy.
Oh, I'm back.
Okay.
I'm ready. I maybe have a controversial take here. I'm siding with the USGA. I think they made the right call. 2 officials came in and made the same ruling. The reality is unless it was an actual puddle the ball was sitting in, wet grass isn't going to get you relief. Because here's my question: where are you taking relief to? Like, you're in the fairway, the whole fairway is soaked. You just want a different part of what's the plan here? Is everybody getting relief from every spot and getting to pick in place? Like, in that situation, I agree. Hit your shot, Sam. Hit your shot. Sorry.
Yep. Sunday at a U.S. Open.
Yeah.
Now, for the record, he was, all of his pressers after, he probably handled it A+. I mean, he didn't really seem to be making any true complaints about it. He just pretty much said, it's not my call, it's their call, and that's it. So, kudos to him, but it did seem like he was clearly affected by it. OG Matt, what are your thoughts on it?
I pretty much agree. I think if 2 officials come over, I mean, they're trained professionals, the best of the best. They know what the call is. I mean, 1, okay, maybe, get a second opinion. But if there's 2, it's like, hey, dude, just hit the ball.
Yeah.
Everybody's dealing with it. I think Adam Scott said that. He's like, yeah, it kind of sucked, but everybody was playing in it. So it's not like I can complain about it. So I think, you just got to pull up your big boy pants and hit a shot.
Yeah. It's just, it's unfortunate that in that exact shot, he did not,
Yeah. But I think it's a
with you
bigger
guys.
story than it's yeah.
Yeah, I
Been blown
personally
up.
don't think this is like one of the articles that was the headline of one of the articles as soon as it's over was like, did Sam Burns get screwed out of winning a tournament? Blah blah
And
blah.
like you said, he wasn't really in contention anyways, so it's kind of a whatever.
Yeah, I don't think it came down to that one shot, right? But
Yeah.
he was definitely in the mix. But I kind of on this type of stuff, I kind of just don't care. I don't know that I would have cared if he got relief, and I don't care that he didn't get relief. You know, this is just a moment where it's like you asked the rules official answered you, you just move on. And I heard on the Shotgun Start podcast they were talking about how the refs or the rules officials for this tournament weren't just like random U.S. Open only rules officials. They're like the same rules officials that you see on the regular tour. So these are the same rules officials that honestly tend to treat these guys with like kid gloves. Like they give these guys a lot of relief a lot of the time. So, you know, in their mind, it must have been truly not a standing water situation for them to have two rules officials say no to that.
But it is kind of
Comment on
funny
that real
thinking
quick.
about.
I
Go ahead,
am
Matt.
willing to bet that those guys were sitting in a room got going and said, look, hey, it's gonna rain and these guys are gonna start asking for relief from wet grass. If we start to give relief for wet grass, it's going to be a nightmare and we're going to be flying all over this course.
We don't have enough rules officials for this.
Everybody. And that's an unreasonable ask. And in my personal opinion, I think that's where this probably came from. They're like, look, unless it's obvious, unless it's sitting in a puddle of water that would otherwise be squeegeed out, no. Hey, nope. Okay. Bye. I'm going to go back to the tent. So
this is kind of a.
But then you get a guy like Bryson. You get a guy like Bryson getting a relief from the walking path from day one of the tournament, where it's probably not that matted down, and then he's over there placing the ball on the ground instead of dropping it.
God.
But it's like, I don't know. I'd be a little bit rattled too.
To defend Bryson, that was a notice to the players, right? That those walking paths you got relief from. They were told straight up, hey, if you're on the walking path.
But it's like, how much traffic was there on day one? It was still like nice green looking fairway. I couldn't differentiate the difference between the walking path and where he dropped it or placed it. But yeah, I don't know. It's just.
I'm gonna kind of waffle on my take earlier with Oakmont, but because I love the idea of just playing golf like Happy Gilmore. I had to play it off Frankenstein's fat foot. Like just play the ball wherever it lies, whether it's in a puddle, whether it's in a whatever. I kind of just like almost like fantasize over that type of golf, even though I know it won't exist, right? Like it just can't exist. But sometimes I want to get a little bit closer to that. Like sometimes watching the relief these guys get with TIO, with trying to get a standing water ball. When I'm with you, Matt, if it's not in a stinking puddle, like if you physically can't hit a ball out of it and there shouldn't be water there, then yeah, you can get your relief. But if it's just a wet ball, which it was, and sure, the water comes up when you stand on it, but like it's just the earth saturated with water. Like let's just hit the stinking ball. That sprinkles in some of the luck that I was kind of hinting at before with the rough. So that's my waffling on my own take. But it is fun to see these guys just face true adversity beyond just, struggling with a rightness, Go ahead, Matt.
So I guess I want to point out like the performance part of why you're able to hit or why you're able to get relief out of a puddle. Because if your ball's sitting in water, right, it's partially submerged in water, the performance of the club through the ball and it coming out of the puddle is truly going to be affected. But if you have to squish the grass down to get visible water, that tells me that your club face can make contact with the ball just fine. And the ball is going to be able to leave the fairway just fine, water unaffected, other than just it being a wet ball. And I think that piece is being lost here. It's like the club can hit the ball and the ball can leave without being affected by a puddle. And that's really why you're getting relief from those situations. And that just wasn't it. It wasn't even close to it. It was soggy, wet grass. Sorry. And to be honest, I think Sam Burns in that situation, he was more affected mentally than it was the actual structure of the shot, in my opinion. I think he just crumbled in that moment and didn't get what he wanted and couldn't follow through.
So yeah, gee, maybe you're right. Maybe he doesn't have the juice.
Maybe that's what I'm saying. Now, for the record, now I know what all the women talk about when they don't like being mansplained to. Thank you for that, Matt. Just explaining to us that a golf ball in water does not react the same as a golf ball not in water.
Maybe you guys didn't know. Maybe you didn't know. Now you know.
Thank you. Thank you. I was wondering why you wanted relief anyway.
Why?
So let's go down the list a little bit more, guys. Matt Hansen. I know we hinted at it a little bit, but Scotty Scheffler, this guy, quite frankly, he sucked. He didn't look even remotely comfortable. I don't know that he was comfortable hitting approach shots. He wasn't comfortable on the greens yet. Here we are yet again in a world where Scotty Scheffler is top 10 at the U.S. Open.
Like the worst
what
top
do you got?
10. I mean, it's crazy that he's still top 10. I mean, but I kept thinking, I'm like, okay, he's gonna flash at some point. He's gonna make a move. He was sitting at +4 most of the time. I'm like, he'll be fine. He's fine. He's Scotty Scheffler. Like he'll do it. He's #1 golfer in the world. But he didn't end up doing that, and it was kind of surprising, but it's something we have seen before. And usually, you look to his putting, but it wasn't even that. It was like he's the best ball striker in the game, and that wasn't really here this weekend, which was surprising, a little bit concerning, but I don't know. It was interesting to see for sure.
Yeah.
What do you think here? I'm going to dribble in some statistics.
Yeah, please do.
What do you think after we mentioned Scotty? What do you think his strokes gained total to the field was overall?
Oh, great question. I have zero clue.
It's a shocking number. I'm going to say that. Not tell you which direction, but it's a shocking.
Okay. I'm going to guess shocking in the other way.
Okay.
But yeah, I have no idea.
You're asking what his overall strokes gained relative to the field were?
Relative to the field, he was +3.
Now, and that's just overall strokes gained?
That's overall.
So where was he losing his strokes? Was it on the green?
On the green.
Yeah, he had some bad 3-putts on Sunday.
Classic Scotty, right? That's old Scotty. That's the thing that he had to fix before he became number 1 in the world, Scotty. But something that I pay attention to is the winner of golf tournaments is usually in that 2.8 to 3.5 strokes gained realm. That's usually where they're sitting. And Scotty was sitting there. And I think this is just a comment of just how brutal it is for the rest of the field. That's why he was T7 and not, missing cuts or something else.
Right.
I mean, guys that had 10, 11, 13, +13 on the weekend. So it's a different tournament, man. Gosh, this was a nightmare for everybody.
It's funny you're bringing up stats, and you might be able to help me out with this one. But we talked about like how a venue like Oakmont with such undulating and fast greens can almost neutralize the putting stat. You remember we talked about that?
Yeah.
I think I read that of the top 10, we had number 2, 3, and 4 best putters on tour finished in the top 10 in this tournament. So it almost seemed like I was just completely wrong there. I think it seemed like it might have neutralized a lot of other stats, but then it came down to putting. Like putting was the most important stat for this one. What are your thoughts on that, or do you have any stats on that?
So this was a topic that some other people are talking about on Twitter and other podcasts. And I normally don't listen to other podcasts before we record, but the comment, and I think this is what you're leading into, is that this was kind of a putting contest. If you were to
Lab putters,
you shout out Lab, yeah, first win.
Busy.
I did laugh at there was a tweet I saw. Somebody says, here in 6 months, there's going to be 10,000 Lab putters for sale on Facebook Marketplace.
Oh, yeah. Like the jailbirds after Wyndham won in LA.
So I will say JJ Spaun dominated on the greens comparative to the field. But I think what won this tournament, and I've already kind of said it in different words, is off the tee and to the green. That's where you won this tournament. Because think about it. You just as the fan, without thinking about stats, were you more relieved to see the guy that you wanted to win get off the tee and hit the middle of the fairway or hit the green? I mean, which part was more nervy?
You mean like on the if I'm watching an approach shot versus watching a tee shot?
Yeah.
I mean, it's always the approach shot, I feel like, for me.
Right. So if he's in the fairway or if he's in the rough off the tee and that approach shot, how comfortable do you feel with that approach shot?
I by the end of the week, I was kind of like, I won't want to say I don't care, but like you're just kind of hoping, right? You're hoping that, oh gosh, I really hope he can get it on the green here because nobody's able to do it. But when they're out of the fairway, it's, not everybody can hit the green, and the greens are crazy and undulated, and the greens weren't terribly firm, but yeah, it was more exciting to watch them hit from the fairway and see if they can pull off, the thing that Oakmont's asked them to pull off.
And I think that that's the defining characteristic of how guys succeeded here was they didn't go in the rough. And so, in my opinion, the take that this was a putting contest, it wasn't. This was a hit the fairway, stay out of the dang rough contest.
But I mean, it seemed like Spaun was in the rough every hole on Sunday.
Early.
Yeah, I guess on the front nine.
A lot of guys, the kind of the narrative was that he was getting these bad breaks, and I went back and I watched it right after, and I was like,
a lot of it was just bad shots, and
he was spraying it off the tee box.
He had exactly one really bad break.
Yeah.
So I mean, you hit a rake, but maybe you shouldn't hit it in the rut. Like I sound heartless, but hit the fairway. I sound like Johnny Miller, right? Hit the fairway. There's no rakes in the fairway.
Yeah. No, I hear you. Yeah, he had exactly one actual bad break, and then you can call a bad break, finding a bad lie in the rough, but I think it should be thought about the other way around. Like, you find a good lie in the rough, that's a good break because you got away with something.
Right.
So what about? I'm trying to not skip out on anybody that made the cut or that finished better. Because I do want to talk about Rory. Just with, he had a strong finish on Sunday, but it really felt like from, halfway through Thursday that he just didn't have it this week. He had a little off-course antics going on, really not sure what the heck's going on with Rory these days. Finished strong, ended up getting a top 20, but it was definitely like a non-contention top 20. Matt Colwell, why don't you kick us off with a little update on Rory?
Well, you just said it. Rory had tied for the best day on Sunday. Him and Rom both shot 67s. Nobody else did that. I mean, Robert McIntyre was right there at the 68. I don't know how many more episodes I can talk about my take on Rory. It's frustrating, and I don't know how there's not anybody in his camp that's sitting him down and saying, bro, can you relax? Like, you were coming across as such a child.
Yeah.
You're a grown adult and one of the best that's ever done it. Act like it.
He needs to hire Justin Baldoni's PR team.
And here's what and maybe this is going to be my new take. This is, breaking news. If we're going to be a brat, go sit down with Brooks and be like, how do I just turn into a villain? Right? And because I think that's the difference, is Brooks is a villain and we like villain Brooks. Rory just comes across like a pretentious, whiny baby. And I don't know. I'm just tired of it. And that's my take after this tournament with Rory again is black. What
do you think, Matt?
I think I've earned the right to not have to talk about Rory.
I think you've earned the right to do anything you want.
It's like, don't get me started.
I love
stand
that.
That's perfect.
Guys,
it's getting.
You guys know I'm a Rory guy. He's making it harder and harder to stay in his camp, if I'm being honest. It's one of the first things that made it harder to be a Rory fan was how it seemed like a year ago, something clicked, and it all of a sudden took him 20 seconds to hit a golf shot. I don't remember seeing that out of him until last year, but it just seems like every week there's just something else that's just like, gosh, Rory, why are you doing this? And yeah, his comments about, them asking him if he's earned the right to skip media, and he said, "Well, I think I've earned the right to do whatever I want." Just that phrase alone, with even without context, is just hard to be a fan of. Like, I think that's something that the Sundowners is something that we kind of take pride in. We're not pinkies in the air, pretentious golfers that have to dress a certain way. We're kind of like the everybody's golfers. And when your favorite golfer says he can do whatever he wants in that such a pretentious way, it's just hard. And I think we all, it's consistent with when he's playing bad, he does this, right? He acts a certain way, skips media, acts all whiny. When he plays well, he all of a sudden is a great quote and has like inspirational things to say, and he's all happy-go-lucky. And yeah, I think I'm getting a little worn out on Rory, but he seemed pretty motivated for the British Open. He was the first official European Ryder Cupper listed this week, so hopefully we can kind of avoid the whiny Rory McIlroy moving forward. Does anybody have anything else on Rory?
He did have a comment that I thought was enlightening, and I think we all knew it, but it's, at least for me, it was nice to just hear him say it. He's like, I climbed the mountaintop, I won my Masters, and I feel like I don't have a goal right now. And when you're an athlete at the top of your game, it's so important to have that, right? Like, your goal can't be, well, I'm at this tournament, X tournament, and I'm going to try to win it. Like, I don't know if that's enough for these guys, right? They can go out and they can compete, but to not have something, a real big goal to be going after, you miss cuts and you shoot +9 and you just don't perform.
Yeah.
So of all the things, still coming away with a blech feeling from him and kind of annoyed, I did appreciate that comment, because I think that was him letting us peer behind the curtain as to how he's feeling. And we see it, right? I just stop being a whiny baby about it. Either find your mountaintop or retire.
That's the thing. It's like, maybe take a break, because clearly he's got some personal things going on, but it's like, just take a little step back from the game. If you won the Grand Slam, what else do you want? I mean,
disappear.
Take some time.
I hadn't thought about it until now. Maybe just take a season and go to the Amalfi Coast and suntan and drink Negronis for a bit, and then come back and figure your mountaintop out.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's been known to take a break a time or two, though, and it just doesn't seem to help much. But yeah, I'm sure we'll talk a lot more about him moving into the British and obviously the Ryder Cup. What about Adam Scott? We haven't talked a lot about Adam Scott. Ended up finishing T12, tied with Xander, Tristan Lawrence, Christian Bezadenhout, Brooks Koepka, and Chris Kirk, a bunch of guys who we just didn't see a lot of golf shots from throughout the weekend. He was firmly in the camp, I think, for me and for a lot of other golf fans. Like, he was firmly in the camp of this could be one of the guys winning the tournament. I don't think there was a clear favorite or not favorite going into Sunday. And he was hanging tough for a while. I think he was kind of leaking oil by the time he got to the turn. But what do you guys think about Adam Scott's performance this week?
Take it away, OG Matt.
I just classic Adam Scott. Just like, it looked so easy and just steady Eddie. I mean, but then on Sunday kind of just ran out of gas. And I don't know if that's old age or what, or just getting whooped by the weather, or I don't know. But when it was him and Burns in the final pairing, I was like, I initially said it's either Spaun or Scott, but then I was like, it's probably going to be maybe Adam Scott, and it'd be cool to see. I would like to see him win another one, but
Absolutely.
it just kind of fell off the rails.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because they talk about his age a lot, and I think age comes into play for like literally anybody else. But I'm like, does it really matter that Adam Scott's 45 years old? Like,
No, he's got a body of a 35-year-old. So
yeah, he's like, he looks as good as ever. I'm sure he feels as good as ever. So, like, not to discount the fact that a 45-year-old was in the mix, but it felt different.
Highlight on Saturday, he had a 180 plus mile an hour ball speed.
188 mile an hour ball speed this week.
I don't know what that looks like in person. I
can tell you what it looks like for Adam Scott. It looks effortless and perfect.
Yeah, that's the thing. It just looks so easy.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
Yeah, I don't know that like his performance on Sunday is like, really tells a huge story other than, just the story of this Oakmont, this US Open at Oakmont. It was just hard for these guys. And I don't know that that's like, a conclusion for him or in his career because, this is a tournament he has to qualify into most times. He doesn't have the exemptions into this tournament. Obviously, he's exempt into the Masters, but other than that, he's trying to earn a spot through official world golf rankings, whether it's qualifying sectionals for U.S. Open. But yeah, I don't think he's into the next year's. Let me see, where did he finish? Top 12. Yeah, so I don't know if he's into next year's U.S. Open, but yeah, this could have been his last real shot, considering he was in the last group on Sunday.
Which is kind of sad for us. I mean, those guys like Adam Scott, the Phil Mickelsons, we'll see if he's back too. I don't know.
Phil's going to have to win a tournament or go qualify.
Yeah, I don't think the USGA is gonna give him a special exemption.
Could you imagine being you're 25, 26, and you're just grinding your career away? You haven't gotten it started yet. You're putting your shoes on in the parking lot, and Phil Mickelson walks by. You're like, that's one less spot.
Yeah, shoot a YouTube video, making some content.
Yeah. He's got a team of cameras following him. He's just tossing his packets of coffee at everybody. Yeah.
All right, guys. So real quick, I'm gonna go down and just kind of list some notables where they finish, and I'm gonna go down kind of the miscut alley here. So, quick shout out to Cameron Young. I'd say he's he was one of those guys who was kind of expected to win one of these things maybe 3-4 years ago, and then the expectations just kind of went away. So Cam Young had a good finish. John Rahm T7. He's a little bit like Scotty, where I don't say he was quite in shambles like Scotty was, but he kind of snuck in there with a pretty quiet and consistent weekend. So top 10 for him. Ben Griffin was a guy that was at the tip of our tongue going into this week. I'd say he stood tough, finished top 10. Xander, Brooks Koepka, T12. Rory, we talked about T19. Jordan Spieth, top 23, showing signs of life. Matt Fitzpatrick's won one of these things, T38. Further down here, who else we got notables? I think that's about it. You got guys like Danny McCarthy, Ryan Gerard, Adam Schenk. No one likes talking about these guys, but and then we had Colin Morikawa had a pretty good finish too. Where'd his name go? T12. So anyhow, going down to miscut. Okay, there's a few guys that I think are worth talking about here. Patrick Cantlay was a name that I had on this list of maybe like sneaky course fit guys. Ludwig Aberg missed the cut. Wyndham Clark, I have some things to say about him. I'm curious your thoughts on. Minwoo Lee's been playing pretty good golf. Tommy Fleetwood, Dustin Johnson missed the cut. Bryson DeChambeau notably missed the cut. So a lot of guys showed up, and I'd say had kind of a disappointing performance. Guys that are definitely names you want to see on the list going into Sunday. Bryson DeChambeau being one of them. But you guys have go ahead, Matt.
You missed one of my guys. I admitted that I was becoming a big fan of his. Sepp Straka. Straka did pretty bad. Yeah, I'm starting to pull for that guy. I was kind of bummed to see him not on the weekend. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm with you. Another one, Joaquin Niemann. He's a guy that seems to be getting shoved down our throat on a person that we're supposed to care about and watching majors, and he just continues to, I don't want to say disappoint in majors, but he's never really in the conversation going into a Sunday. So, and he missed the cut this week.
Can we just blame Phil for this? I think Phil did it to us.
Well, I mean, yeah,
Joaquin, here, take him.
Yeah. I mean, let's face it, he's a great golfer, but okay, guys, I've been kind of putting this one off as long as I can, but Wyndham
boy.
Clark. You guys, I'm sure saw, what was going on in the locker room for Wyndham Clark.
Yeah,
All right.
I'll let Matt take this one away because I know he's got some, local ties with Wyndham. So I have some different.
I desperately want to champion Wyndham. While we grew up on different parts of the same neighborhood, he grew up on the Pinkies Up side of the neighborhood. And went to the private school. I went to the public school. I wanted to root for him for those reasons, right? Like, how often do you get to say, like, oh man, is it me and this guy walked the same streets? Now this guy's competing at the highest level. I can't support a guy that behaves like that. I mean, we touched on it after his club throw, smashing the sign behind the tee box, and then here going to a course like Oakmont and breaking stuff in the locker room is. If I'm a member at Oakmont, when the next time we have a meeting, I say that guy's not allowed to come here.
Yeah.
Period. Like, we have to have somebody come fix that. Like, this is not okay. Smashing a tee box is one thing. That's PGA property, but destroying my stuff, like, I put my stuff in that locker. Unbelievably disrespectful, and a Chat GPT apology is not going to fly here.
Yeah. What do you think, Matt?
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised he didn't get jumped in the parking lot.
Yeah.
Like, if I was a member and I saw that, like, I'd want to throw hands. I'm like, I don't care who you are.
CEOs of Big Steel are beating up Wyndham Clark.
Yeah. Pittsburgh Grit just needs to, like,
just choke him out with a terrible towel.
Because, I mean, the locker room built in like 1904. There's so much history there. I don't know how many times they showed the bench with the cleat marks. Yeah, cool, we get it. But it's like, you can't be putting holes in those lockers, even though, and like, pick a tougher object than some like frail old, paper mache lockers. It's like, if you're going to do something like that, maybe do some real damage and don't do it where people can see it. I mean, it's just completely unacceptable. I'm kind of over him as well. I'm like, I don't want to root for that guy.
Yeah.
Nope.
He shouldn't be welcome back at Oakmont. To be honest, I wouldn't let him back. I
agree. So we talked about during the preview pod how this is considered a National Historic Monument. The No Laying Up guys, I think Tron is one that said that it's like, Oakmont's like a living, breathing museum.
Yeah.
And that's just from guys like us, right? We're just watching. We've watched the clips of, behind the scenes in the locker room of Oakmont and kind of the importance and the historic importance of it. So, like, we all understand that. We're not even the ones there feeling it. Like, we understand the respect we should have for this type of stuff.
Do you think he had his hat on while he was doing it?
Oh, guarantee. It's probably backwards.
Yeah, wearing his like municipal backwards roll hat in the Oakmont locker room, just destroying it. It's like, that's another thing. It's like, come on.
Yeah, and that to me, that's like such an entitled thing where it's like, man, you're the one that gets to be there. You're the one that gets to see and feel those cleat marks that they were telling us about.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go and do that. And it's not like it's his first, tirade. Because, Matt, you said you can't root for someone who does that. I think I can. Like, I don't have a problem rooting for someone who, lashes out every once in a while, right? But when he kind of do it the way he does it, and you guys heard me complain about this when he was doing it at the PGA, he does this kind of like semi-apology, like pretending like he's like, I'm going to go to therapy, just this like, I'm going to be better thing. I kind of don't want that apology. Just say my bad or don't, and then move on. But instead, when you give us that type of apology and then a month later do this, that's where you lose. I think you lose fans. And yeah, I'm out on Wyndham Clark, man. I'm firmly out on him. It sucks that he's had from a golf standpoint, like such a harsh decline. It feels like 5 years ago that he won the US Open, but it was only in 2023. And now here we are talking about his off-course behavior. Oh, so where else do you guys want to go with this? Do you guys want to talk about Phil? This might be Phil's last US Open. Do we want to talk about, how the live guys are performing in major championships moving forward with Carlos Ortiz making a charge? Where do you guys want to go with this as we approach the hour mark of this pod?
I mean, I think we touched on Phil already. But yeah, it is interesting to see when the live guys come over to the majors and how they perform. And it just reminds me every time I see it. I'm like, gosh, I hate that they play on a different tour and we don't get, because I don't care about any of the PGA tournaments anymore unless it's a major, because you don't have those guys there and you miss them. So I don't know.
What do you think, Matt?
I mean, the live golfers, what is it? Only six made the cut. So compared to most of these majors, usually they kind of do pretty well for the most part. And this was not one of those tournaments. I don't know. The more you and I talk about it, the less live is I don't know. I just don't think about live in that sense outside of, if Brooks is playing well or Bryson. And that I asked you, I had a hot top. Maybe we could talk about this. I texted Giovanni a hot take question. If Bryson DeChambeau is not on live and he's playing on the PGA Tour, is Bryson challenging Scotty Scheffler at being the number one golfer in the world?
Not challenging him at being number one golfer in the world, but I think challenging him, on a week in, week out basis.
Yeah. Do you think, you said it in a way that makes me feel like you don't think it's that close.
I don't think
that's a good point.
I think he might be like right now. It's kind of like it just depends on who shows up, but it's like Scotty versus whoever the next best player is that week or whoever's hot.
Now
it's always Scotty versus them, and so I'd say Bryson would be like a firm 2. I don't think he's it's a 1A 1B situation.
Yeah.
But how do we know?
I want to say that my take isn't I think he would. That's not my take, but I think it's worth talking about. Right? He plays in the PGA Tour part-time, and he's still number 13 in the official world golf rankings. That's an unbelievable achievement.
Yeah.
And I don't think he gets enough credit for that.
That's true. That's a good point.
Top 15 in the world, and he doesn't play in any of the tournaments. He's here for the majors, and he's still top 13. Like, that is unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Yeah, let me push back a little bit. You're saying he doesn't get enough credit for that? I think Bryson gets plenty of credit, right? I don't think there's a lot of people out there that are denying that he's probably the second or third best golfer to show up to any tournament. I think he's getting his credit, and he's winning the tournaments to support it too.
Maybe you're right. Maybe he needs more credit. Maybe we need to talk about him more,
Well, I think let's give him some credit right now because I came across his post from the Dallas Live event where he's, it's obviously a PR thing, but he's out there holding a sign saying, "Come watch my golf tournament." You can call it whatever you want to call it, a silly marketing thing, but he's literally standing there holding a cardboard sign, even if it's just for a picture. The credit that I think he deserves goes hand in hand with his golf game. He's playing unreal golf, but this guy's growing the game of golf more than I think anybody. It's between him and Steph Curry, who are literally growing the game of golf more than anybody else. And we've talked about his YouTube stuff a lot. It's not my cup of tea, but there's no denying that is, it's created a market in the game of golf that I think is growing it in a way that the PGA Tour could only wish that they were growing it. So if we want to give him credit, I think now's the time to say, hey, kudos to what he's doing off the course as well as on.
Do you think he was honest with that live contract conversation? Do you think
where it ends at the end of this year?
Next year's is last year, I think, right? So
I thought it ends 2025, but
maybe you're right. But the question was still asked, right? If he's going to go back.
Yeah.
I'm curious if he was being honest there. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, it's hard to say. It's really hard to say. But that's one thing with Bryson. It's hard to determine when he's being genuine or when he's, I don't know.
Yeah. It kind of seems like he's always on, like his.
Yeah, exactly.
That image, which
PR block in front of him. I don't know. It's a good question.
I think while you're under contract with them, it'd be a little unnervy to kind of talk smack about that organization.
Yeah.
But I'm not
Get
going to lie
beheaded.
to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get the axe.
A little bit of me hopes he wasn't being honest. I kind of want to see Bryson come back and compete on the PGA Tour every week.
Well, that's the thing. I think we all do. I think we all want to see these guys. And I mean, you said tops or 6 live guys made the cut. I'm like, that's quite a few live guys in this U.S. Open field. Yeah. I would think.
I think honestly, I couldn't tell you numbers, but this felt like an underperformance compared to other major championships.
I think that's more the point. Yeah,
the live guys really. Yeah. I don't think it's even a testament to live or PGA Tour. I think it's just they have some guys who have some pedigree in major championships, and they have some guys who can still show up and play. So, yeah, this felt like a bad live week, honestly, compared to other majors.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, hey guys, we're well over an hour at this point. I think we should wrap it up. This has been a good recap pod. These are one of my favorite podcasts to do, the major championship previews and recaps. Matt Hansen, I want to thank you for tuning in, being our first ever guest on the podcast. It's been awesome. I hope you guys have an awesome week, and then I look forward to the British Open coming up in a little over a month.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me. Hopefully I can come back at some point to talk some more major golf, because you guys know I don't care about the other ones. So all about the majors.
We'll discuss it, Matt. We'll see. Yeah. We'll have a sit down.
All right, guys. Well, you have a good week, and until next time.